Welcome to a lesson with Dr. Powell. Let's take another look at sine inverse and cosine inverse just for a minute. So sine inverse of x is the inverse function of sine, swapping input and output. But in order to do that, sine of x in itself does not have an inverse function because it's too periodic. Because if you swap in input and output, you get something that's way not a function, right? So you have to do some restriction here, and the standard restriction we do is to keep the first quadrant and do what we can so it's 1-to-1. We get something like this. Okay, now in here, okay, so this is sine x restricted before we take its inverse. For cosine, you do the same thing, but including the first quadrant, you have to go the other way. It looks like this. This is what cosine is before you take its inverse. So cosine inverse is the inverse of cosine restricted here. This is the inverse of this restricted here. Notice how these restrictions here are horizontal reflections of each other. Hence, it makes perfect sense that when we swap input and outputs, we're going to have vertical reflections of each other, hence negative derivatives of each other. Thanks for watching.